We often talk about minimalism like it's a design trend. So something that you see in a magazine, all clean lines, empty shelves, really sparse artwork on the walls. But what I want to talk about today is something really different. I want to talk about minimalism as a health practice. Minimalism as something that your brain and your nervous system actually need. Welcome to your daily hit of grace and grit, your quick dose of inspiration to kickstart your day. I'm Courtney Townley, and here is today's hit. So when most people hear minimalism, they picture a certain look, right? Sparse rooms, neutral tones, the kind of home where everything has a place and nothing is out of place. And for some people, that aesthetic is genuinely appealing. Like, I personally love it. I've often had people come into my home and say, "Oh, you're such a minimalist." I'm not. I just like to have few things that I adore and not a lot of stuff that I don't care much about. And I also love open space. It's something that's always appealed to me. But that's not really what I'm talking about here. What I'm talking about in this episode is minimalism is something that your brain requires to function well. When your environment is cluttered, your nervous system is working hard. It's processing, it's filtering, it's reacting to every piece of visual and sensory input around you. Whether you asked it to do that work or not, it's happening. And we all know that that work has a cost. It consumes bandwidth, mental bandwidth, that you could be spending on things that actually matter. So when you start clearing your spaces, you start letting things go so you don't have to keep maintaining them. You're not just tidying. You are literally giving your brain mental relief. And a brain that feels relief, of course, makes better decisions, can focus, and create a lot more freely. So I just want to offer that minimalism practiced this way is not an aesthetic choice. It really is a nutrient. So I'll share a few ways that minimalism kind of shows up as I practice in my own life, because I think it helps to make this a little bit more concrete. When I bring something new into my home, I ask myself what I can let go of to make room for it. So I kind of think of our schedules. When you are constantly saying yes to things, but never saying no to anything, what happens? Your schedule gets overfilled and all of a sudden you're burnt out and you don't know why. Well, the same thing happens in our homes. We keep bringing stuff in, but we're not actually letting things go. So if I buy my husband a new shirt, I'm going to get rid of one in his closet. Same thing for my clothes. If I bring something new in, I'm going to look for what I can purge on the same day. And what that does is it's just like a habit of attention. If it keeps accumulating, I know eventually it's something that I'm going to have to keep tending to, and it's going to feel suffocating. The other thing that I think I do a lot more at this stage of my life is I would much rather pay more money for one thing that I genuinely love than own 10 versions of something that never quite feels right. Again, I think of clothes. I think of, art or home decor. I could buy a lot of things that are just, I don't feel great about them, but I like them. They're fine. They'll do. Or I can buy really intentional pieces that light me up in a profound way every time I see them. So I have less, but I really love what I have. So I have fewer things that are actually the right things. And this is really a standard I've been moving towards for a while now. The same thing with my friendships, right? Like, I know a lot of people through obviously my profession and just being out in the world, having a child. But I definitely feel like I have more discretion than ever about where I spend my time and energy, and that includes with who I spend my time and energy. I also try to keep less in my closet in general, partly because I genuinely hate doing laundry. So fewer clothes means fewer loads, but also it helps my brain because there's less decision fatigue. The less I have to sort through as I get dressed, the more cognitive energy I save for things that matter. I don't have a capsule wardrobe, but I love the concept of a capsule wardrobe, right? Just a few pieces that you can mix together and wear in a lot of different ways that you love, but there's not a lot of it. And even in my business right now, I am actively practicing a form of minimalism. I'm asking where the fat needs to be trimmed, which offerings, which commitments, which activities are genuinely serving my mission, and which ones just feel like noise, or which ones aren't giving me any ROI. There's no rate of return, right? There's no return on my investment. Too many things happening at once overwhelms my brain and dilutes my impact. So I want to do fewer things better. That's the goal. So here's something worth sitting with. Your environment is constantly sending you signals about who you are and how you operate. A cluttered, overloaded space sends a signal that you're overwhelmed, you're behind, you're out of control, and we tend to behave in ways that match the environment. The clutter becomes the context, and the context shapes the choices. But the reverse is also true. A cleared, curated environment sends a different signal. It says, I'm someone who's intentional about what I let in. I make decisions about what deserves my space, my attention, my energy, and what doesn't. And that signal has a way of rippling into everything else. It's interesting. I've been in business now for, how many years? 12 online. And that doesn't even speak to how many years I was in business in my brick and mortar prior to that. But having an online business now for almost 12 years, it feels like a shrub that has gone crazy in my yard, right? I have so many different dimensions of my business, and I'm in a season of really discerning how I want to trim that hedge. So it's cleaner, it's easier to manage, and that is not easy. But every decision I make in devotion to that makes me feel like I can breathe a little bit easier. So I don't want you to feel walking away from this episode like you need to overhaul your home or your life overnight, because I'm certainly not doing that with my business. It's just simply making one decision, picking one area, one drawer, one closet, one section of your calendar, one category of your business, and asking what is earning its place and what is just taking up space. Removing what is not serving you and noticing what that creates. And one of the ways that I determine if something is worth keeping is, especially in my business, is if I'm not seeing a return. Right? So that's a filter that I use to help me make decisions. If in my closet, one of those filters might be, have I worn this in the past 6 months? Do I even like this? So different filters for different areas. But just remember, the goal of minimalism is not emptiness, it's clarity. And clarity is one of the most powerful states that the brain can operate from. So consider minimalism not as a trend to follow, but as a tool to use, as a nutrient to fortify your life. What is one area of your life, whether that's physical, digital, relational, professional, where less would actually give you more? If this episode gave you a new way of thinking about your environment and your energy, share it with someone who needs to hear it. A friend who's been feeling overwhelmed, a colleague who can't seem to focus, a woman in your life who's drowning in too much. One share goes such a long way. Thank you in advance. If this stirred something inside of you, imagine what a whole book of clarity and courage could ignite. The Consistency Code, a midlife woman's guide to deep health and happiness, goes even deeper into the mindset and practices that create real, meaningful change at midlife. Grab your copy today over at theconsistencycode.com and keep the momentum alive.